One thing that's really funny about this is that Democrats don't even raise this point because many Democrats that are in leadership roles, like Chuck Schumer, for example, were directly opposed to the JCPOA at the time because, come on, let's be real.
So Hasan Piker just exposed how Democratic leadership's Israel-first politics prevents them from defending Obama's Iran nuclear deal, even when Trump's current Iran war validates exactly why diplomacy worked. We're breaking down the $20 billion hypocrisy and why this matters for ending the current conflict.
Again, Chuck Schumer cares about Israel a whole lot more than he cares about the Democratic Party, his own constituents, American democracy, yada, yada, yada. All of that is secondary. Don't take my word for it. Take Chucky Boy's own word for it, right? He was in opposition to the JCPOA at the time. So that's part of the reason why many of the Democrats in power don't bring up the fact that there was a successful deal that was implemented that Donald Trump destroyed, the JCPOA, because Israel didn't like the JCPOA.
Schumer's 2015 opposition came after AIPAC spent $20 million lobbying against the JCPOA. 14 Senate Democrats voted against it, creating the exact political constraint we see today. They can't defend a deal they helped undermine, even when Trump's failures prove they were wrong.
Israel hated it so much that Benjamin Netanyahu came to America, was invited to speak in front of Congress. Many Democrats didn't attend that speech, by the way, because it was a symbolic speech to say fuck you to Barack Obama, where he complained about Barack Obama in the halls of Congress. He gave a State of the Union as the real president of the United States of America when Barack Obama was in the process of implementing the JCPOA. That is the level of access and the hubris demonstrated by Israel.
Netanyahu's March 2015 speech was unprecedented. No foreign leader had ever used Congress to publicly oppose a sitting president's policy. 58 Democrats boycotted, but the damage was done. Israeli PM effectively lobbied Congress against American diplomatic achievements on American soil.
So if you're confused as to why many Democrats don't raise the point that there was a successful implementation of a denuclearization agreement with Iran through not war, but through the negotiations process, it's because they too are pro-Israel. But what's interesting about it is now Trump is bringing up the JCPOA, which will force the hand of Democrats to be, oppositional to Trump. And now they might be forced to bring up the JCPOA to say, hey, Barack Obama did actually see a decent amount of success here.
The JCPOA actually worked. Iran's uranium stockpile dropped 98%. International inspections increased dramatically. Now Democrats are trapped. Defend Obama's success and admit they were wrong, or stay silent while Trump's war proves diplomacy was the better path all along.
Again, another funny part about this is that Donald Trump, as a part of the current ceasefire negotiations that he begged Iran to conduct with the American admin, is releasing $20 million, not $1.7 billion of green cash, but $20 billion. 20. Joe Biden unfroze $6 billion. Barack Obama unfroze $1.7 billion. Donald Trump is slated to unfreeze $20 billion.
Trump's attacking Obama's $1.7 billion while negotiating to release $20 billion himself. 12 times more money. The 2015 payment was Iran's own frozen assets from a 1979 arms deal. Trump's actively proving that diplomatic settlements cost far less than wars.
So it's really funny that Trump is trying to volunteer this information as though it was bad. And I'm sure a lot of his moronic fan base will eat this shit up. But I wish more Democrats would communicate that this was a far better alternative. Diplomacy was always a far better alternative to dealing with Iran than whatever the we're doing currently.
Obama's diplomatic approach cost $1.7 billion and prevented nuclear weapons. Trump's war is burning $2 billion daily in U.S. military expenditure, while Iran profits from $90 plus oil prices. The math alone vindicates everything Obama achieved through negotiation instead of bombs.
The money was a part of the pre-revolution agreement that was still lingering in arbitration. The reason it was such a large sum was the accumulated interest.
The money was owed from a pre-revolution arms deal. The Shah paid for weapons that were never delivered after 1979. Decades of arbitration accumulated massive interest. Obama settled for far less than Iran could have won in international court, saving taxpayers billions.
Democrats have, foolishly, being the Israel First Party that they are, just like the Republicans, have for years said that Iran presents a constant danger, a constant threat. If Democrats were saying the truth throughout that process, right now they would have a stronger position. They still have a fairly strong position. They're not even leaning into it because they're f***ing assholes, but that's besides the point. This is being perfectly executed on a scale of Venezuela, just a bigger, more complex operation.
Both parties spent years calling Iran an existential threat to justify $850 billion defense budgets and unconditional Israel aid. This bipartisan fear-mongering created the political space for Trump's war, while constraining Democrats from defending successful diplomacy when it actually worked.
Trump wants it done. He doesn't like Iran holding control over the strait over the Middle East. He doesn't want to fight anymore, but he will if he feels he has to, an administration official tells Axios. Well, why did you begin it if you weren't capable of finishing it? You know, I'm bored now. It's lame. It's woke and gay. I don't care about Iran no more. Oh, wonderful stuff.
The Axios reporting reveals Trump's trapped. He started a war he can't finish without massive escalation. Foreign policy experts warn this exact scenario. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, not us. Military solutions here lead to global economic catastrophe, not victory.
Donald Trump says, I'm winning a war by a lot. Things are going very well. Our military has been amazing. And if you read the fake news, like the failing New York Times, the absolutely horrendous and disgusting Wall Street Journal, or the now almost defunct, fortunately, Washington Post, you would actually think we are losing the war. The enemy is confused because they get these same media reports, and yet they realize their Navy has been completely wiped out. Their Air Force is gone onto darker runways. They have no anti-missile or anti-airplane equipment.
Trump's channeling Nixon's Vietnam playbook. Claim victory while privately panicking about exit strategy. The difference? Iran actually holds leverage through oil choke points that Nixon's enemies never had. Bluster doesn't work when your opponent controls global energy supplies.
They are losing $500 million a day, an unsustainable number even in the short run. The anti-America fake news media is rooting for Iran to win, but it's not going to happen because I'm in charge. Just like these unpatriotic people used every ounce of their limited strength to fight me in the election, they continue to do so with Iran.
Iran's earning $200 million daily from higher oil prices caused by the conflict. They're not losing $500 million, they're profiting while America burns $2 billion daily on military operations. The economics completely contradict Trump's victory narrative.
By the way, even just our burn rate as opposed to Iran, if we're taking what he's saying seriously and like Iran is losing 500 million a day, we're losing 2 billion a day. And that's just like our military expenditure, okay? So no, I think meat for meat, you know, they're doing a lot better. They're going ban for ban. I like that Donald Trump's last couple of posts has just been, don't tell anyone in the news.
The burn rate comparison is devastating. $2 billion daily for U.S. military operations versus Iran's actual profits from oil price spikes. These numbers vindicate Obama's approach. Why spend trillions on war when diplomatic settlements cost billions and actually prevent nuclear weapons?
O'Connor said the thing that I've been saying, thank God. Barack Obama did his homework. He engaged in statesmanship that left America safer and built a coalition to prevent Iran from having enriched uranium. All Trump did is listen to Netanyahu. That's his entire foreign policy. And that is why Donald Trump posted this tantrum this morning, claiming Israel has no control over his decision-making because he was watching Maria Bartiromo. And he was watching our boy, Ro Khanna, go on Maria Bartiromo and say the truth.
Khanna's Fox Business appearance was brilliant, defending Obama's Iran diplomacy on conservative media while Trump's war failures play out in real time. The timing forced Trump's defensive response about Netanyahu because the contrast is undeniable. Diplomacy worked, war doesn't.
This and Cuba were the two major points of credit that I give Barack Obama all the time as it pertains to his foreign policy.
The point about Obama's limited foreign policy successes is crucial. Iran and Cuba represent what's possible when America chooses diplomacy over confrontation. Compare those outcomes to Trump's current disasters. The contrast validates engagement over endless warfare.
The problem with that, however, is when you match up against another madman, it kind of fucks up your plans. Like, he is definitely demented, and it helps with the unique style of communication. So here's the problem. If you have an opponent that is far weaker, doesn't have any kind of, not nuclear arms, but functionally the nuclear weapon of destroying 20% of the oil production and gas production of the entire world, or at least like stopping the transit of 20% of the entire world's energy supply, which is functionally the same as like, being as disruptive as a nuke, right? When you have an enemy that has that capability and they are exercising their power, you kind of can't do the madman theory, right?
Nixon's madman theory required facing weaker opponents who feared escalation. Iran controls 20% of global oil transit through Hormuz. They hold the economic nuclear option. Trump's threats become empty when your opponent can crash the world economy first.
If your opposition, in this case Iran, has already shown their hand and has exercised tremendous leverage over you, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's why when Trump says like, oh, we'll destroy the power plants in Iran, we'll destroy the bridges in Iran, that's a part of his like madman diplomacy in air quotes, but that doesn't stop Iran from controlling the Strait of Hormuz. If anything, that would force Iran to destroy the oil refineries in the region. The madman theory only works if the opposition is willing to both be a stable actor and is invested in offering concessions and doesn't have a serious upper hand. Iran has a serious upper hand. Iran has the leverage.
Iran's strategic position is why every president since Carter avoided this conflict. They can shut down Gulf oil production, spike global prices, crash economies. Trump's entered a game where America's military superiority doesn't translate to strategic advantage.
He's still very...
Dude, only Morning Joe could take this Wall Street Journal article about like how scared and how panicked Trump is and how paranoid Trump is and how his handlers literally need to ensure that he's not in the room when like serious military operations are being conducted and turn it into it's actually awesome and everyone is so scared. Everyone is so scared that the guy who is controlling the nuclear arms, the nuclear arsenal of the United States of America is out of his f***ing mind. And Arab leaders have told me, this is just like us, man. We love this. Keep posting that shit, sir.
This media spin perfectly illustrates why corporate outlets can't be trusted on foreign policy. They're portraying Trump's panic and isolation as strength, while America bleeds money in an unwinnable conflict. Honest analysis threatens their pro-war narrative completely.